Thank you very much. Today, 1.5 billion people are currently without access to electricity. But access to energy is a prerequisite for the eradication of the poverty that these people live in. The right to energy implies that energy supplies achieve universal and reliable access, equitable access that is bridging the gaps between urban and rural areas, and also being affordable. Also, for a country to develop, a sustainable and secure energy supply is crucial, and the most reliable and secure one is a decentralized use of renewables. But energy does not only need to be secure and reliable. Its production also needs to take into account other issues such as climate change, deforestation, environmental degradation, human health, and the poverty it causes. These problems cannot be tackled by fossil fuels. Fossil fuels have disastrous impacts on health, environment and climate. At the same time, the climate crisis is doing more damage to those living in extreme poverty. Fossil fuels create pollution that endanger both human health and a healthy environment. And they are expensive, and their prices increase the more we run out of oil and gas. Fossil fuels create centralized, hierarchic and inflexible energy distribution. No, we do have to focus on renewables. We have to assist developing countries to leapfrog our destructive fossil fuel path. Only renewables can bring a solution to these problems. Renewable energy use resources that will never run out and that many developing countries have in abundance, sun and wind mainly. They can be employed locally on a very small and inexpensive scale, which is also, in a very literal sense, empowering people. Decentralized power supplies are in the hands of the people. They are democratic. Nevertheless, the World Bank continues to push fossils in its energy strategy. Recent increases in lending for renewable and energy sufficiency remain tiny and cannot cover up their obvious preferences. Fossil fuel investments are also taking place through financial intermediaries, which the World Bank does not sufficiently monitor. There is an underreporting of fossil fuels. The bank continues to make significant investment in coal-fired power plants, locking development countries into coal-based energy for decades to come. This is not what an energy revolution looks like. The World Bank's energy policy suffers from a lack of transparency. This problem should be addressed through the definition of clear requirements that financial intermediaries must meet in order to be eligible for multilateral financing. 40% of World Bank loans to the private sector are transferred through those financial intermediaries, and a large part of those loans goes to the energy sector, in particular extractives. However, unlike direct bank project investments, there is no information publicly available on these individual sub-project investments, making it very difficult to track what ultimately happens to financial intermediaries' funding. And when we look at what sort of energy is counted as low carbon, we can find large hydropower plants in the strategy. Such large hydro plants destroy vast amounts of nature and drive people from their home. This is not sustainable, and this is not in the interest of the people and of society. Also, carbon capture and storage does not make coal power low carbon. The CO2 is still there, and nobody can predict what will happen to it underground. None of us can say for sure that it will stay there calmly for the next millennia. This is fortune-telling and not research, and certainly not policy making. Same goes for nuclear energy. Uranium mining produces huge amounts of CO2, and nobody knows what to do with the waste we're producing. This is not low carbon, and this is not sustainable. This is why the Greens EFA group will vote against the resolution unless the low carbon wording is replaced. However, we also do see some good points in the resolution. For example, the focus on off-grid renewables for rural areas and small-scale local production, as well as the concern about the dominance of export orientation, large-scale plants and biofuels. And the last word, we also very much focus the call for enhanced technology transfer. And in particular, technology transfer will not mean much if intellectual property rights are left intact. The overriding goal should be to treat intellectual property rights in a manner that allows access to technology at affordable prices. This is what we promised at the climate negotiations, and we should stick to our promise. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Keller, do you accept the blue card from Mr. Martin?
Of course.
Yes, please, Mr. Martin, 30 seconds.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I can only congratulate you to what you have said and to your analysis. The question, though, is we have been knowing